Great. Well, thank you so much, Penny, for inviting me. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I can talk about my business and chocolate for hours. So you might need to tell me to stop at some point. But it's really lovely to meet everyone. I'm Galia Orme. I'm the founder of Choc Chick, and this is my happy place. I'm here in a cocoa plantation in Ecuador, where I source most of my ingredients and products. And this is a lovely cocoa bean or seed where chocolate comes from. So I'll tell you all a bit more about that. Right, let me see how I move this, because have I opened the wrong one? Here we go. So I am an award-winning entrepreneur, and I've been in business now since 2009. And my products have also won gold and silver at the Free From Food Awards over the years. And I'm incredibly proud of winning an award for the European Sustainability Academy in Crete. So I got flown out to Crete, which was amazing. And as part of the women empowerment, because one of my objectives is always to support women, particular women farmers, and create, I guess, freedom to create your own businesses or support yourselves through business. And cacao is one way that female farmers in Latin America can support themselves and their environment. So that's me with one of my awards. And let me just, I think I'm doing something wrong if I'm trying to move this. There we go. So as I said before, and I'll always say, I love chocolate. I'm originally from South America. I'm from Argentina. I was born in Argentina and moved to the UK when I was 22. And I've lived in lots of different countries. I've lived in Canada, in Israel, in Venezuela, and everywhere we went. We moved a lot as a child. When I was a child, my mother always made chocolate. And one of my favorite films is Chocolat, as I'm sure many know. But unlike the film, making chocolate is really difficult, and you have to temper it. It wasn't something that my mother made. She made it always for events, but she usually was in the kitchen with a closed door, and we could hear her swearing silently in the background. But it's quite difficult tempering, and I've done lots of different jobs and never thought I would work in chocolate. I also thought chocolate was bad for you. I've always had a weight issue. I've never been skinny, and so I thought, well, it's really bad for us. It's high in sugar. I binge eat chocolate when I eat chocolate. And about 14 years ago, I discovered that actually chocolate is good for us and can be really, really healthy. And my journey began when I discovered raw chocolate making. So I just wanted to say a little bit about the super bean, or the super nutrients that you get from cocoa or cacao. I'm just going to quickly say the difference. Cacao is Spanish and cocoa is English. Almost every other language says cacao. The only reason in English we say cocoa is because there was a 17th century typo in one of the sacks that came from South America, and instead of spelling it cacao, it's spelled cocoa. So since then, English people say cocoa, Spanish and the rest of the world say cacao. But nowadays, cacao is more, it's considered the superfood. So when you want to talk about or buy products that are minimally processed and healthier, it will usually be cacao rather than cocoa. So what's so great about cocoa and cacao, the super beans? So it's really high in antioxidant flavanols. It's got natural polyphenols, vitamins and minerals. It's got over 300 nutritional benefits and minerals, iron, magnesium. It's one of the highest sources of magnesium. So it kind of explains also why women crave it, in particular certain times of the month. During menopause, I'm living off cocoa powder at the moment. So it has really a lot of nutritional benefits in its raw state, in its pure state. It increases our mood. It helps us feel happy, increase our serotonin levels, and it's an aphrodisiac. And it's just an incredible superfood that I think we all need to enjoy more. One of the issues with cacao is that there is uh, uh, it's not always ethically and sustainably sourced, and a lot of cocoa that comes from Africa can be tinged with exploitation. There is child slavery, and for me, it's very much about how can I create things differently and be as ethical and sustainable as possible. So I'm very much aware of my supply chain, and I have a direct connection with the farmers and growers that I work with. So I've been traveling out to Ecuador and Peru since 2010. This is Max Jr. He's the son of one of the cocoa plantations, who happens to be a doctor who came back to his family farm, and all his children and family have worked together on the farm, and he was showing me around. One of the things, the difference in my products is that I use mainly single origin original cocoa beans, and the original beans come from Latin America. So African beans are hybrid beans. So for me, it was always about sourcing direct from Latin America. I wanted to have a direct link and a connection with the producers, visit plantations, and really understand my supply chain. So this is one of my trips to Peru and Ecuador. This is from a Guarani tribe. She's the head of the tribe, and they actually, Patricia Neukeni, they make cocoa and chocolate from beans that are grown wild, and it's incredible what they do there. So I visited her and her plantation, which was a joy. And these are some of the farmers I work with, Eduardo and Jasenia down there. We went horseback riding and going through jeep through plantations. And this is where it starts. So I wanted to just explain where chocolate comes from. So it all starts from this beautiful flower that grows on the bark of the cocoa trees, and the flower becomes the bud. So I don't know if you can recognize, and then this becomes the cocoa pods. So there are a variety of pods, and one of the amazing things about cocoa is that it's a collaborative plant. It needs to grow with other plants. It grows best in the shade of other plants. So the cooperatives and plantations I work with are all biodiverse. They have lots of other plants growing there. So there'll be mangoes, oranges, bananas, and higher trees so the farmers have crops and yields all year round, but also it benefits the cocoa itself because it grows best with other beans. And this is William, one of the farmers that I work with as well. He's an engineer, and he's a real specialist in the different types of cocoa beans. And this is what it looks like inside. So as you saw in my first picture, I was holding up one of these amazing seeds, and this is where chocolate comes from. Even though it's white and it's mushy and it tastes a bit like lychee, there's a whole process then that is involved to create the cocoa powder and the chocolates that we consume. And so first step is the fermentation. So where I work with the cocoa collection centers. So farmers come in with their yields, it's weighed, it's qualified, the type of bean is identified, and then it goes through a very specific fermentation and drying process. So as you can see, there are boxes here. It ferments for 5 days, and the color of the bean changes from a light color to a darker color. So this is where you can see where the cocoa bean, when it's ready to start drying. So these are beans that have been fermented. So the purple one is still unfermented. So it's still just a few days of fermentation. And the longer it ferments, it goes a darker color until it goes to the smaller one on the right, which is the darker brown. And these beans are then ready to dry. And this is these are the beans drying. This is in one of the cocoa collection centers that I work with. And all these beans are separated according to the lots and the families or cooperatives that they come from. So I can identify the lot that my products come from. And I also have access to a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet, where I can see how much each farmer was paid. So it's incredibly ethical because I can see the direct payments that are made to the farmers. I also visit regularly, so I really want to make sure that what I receive is true as well. But these are one of the beans drying, and then when they're dried, they're put into these lovely sacks, and they're ready to take to the processing plants. So Carlos here is from one of the processing plants I work with. I've always worked directly, and I've always been involved in the entire part of the supply chain and the processing of the cocoa. Eduardo is one of the farmers. He's the head of one of the cooperatives and also runs the collection center. And these are the products that we make from those beans. So cacao powder is essentially the ground up beans, but beforehand it goes through a process of removing the fat. So cacao butter or cocoa butter is the fat from the cocoa bean, and that is made into little round discs, so it's easy to use. And the fat is incredible. It's anti-inflammatory, it's high in antioxidants, and it's really good for your skin as well as for making chocolate with and frying. You can actually use it to fry with. It's like coconut oil. It actually has 30% less saturated fat than coconut oil. And then the rest is, once the fat is extracted, the rest is ground up into the powder. So if you have a look at this powder here as well, the powder we have is quite a light color. If you know cocoa, Bournville, or other chocolates, the color is quite dark because it goes through a process called Dutching, which the Dutch invented, because it alkalizes the cocoa powder. And so that process reduces quite a lot of the antioxidants and minerals. So we try and have, well, we only have minimally processed, undutched, natural cacao that we call raw, because it's as minimally processed as you can get, and it's the essentially raw ingredients. So this is my company, Choc Chick, and I like to say we're the loveliest superfood on the planet because it is a lovely superfood, cacao, and we have a range of products, mainly cacao powder, which is our best-selling product, and we sell in Holland and Barrett. We're in 600 stores in Holland and Barrett. If it's not in a store near you, ask for it and they will bring it. And we sell in Whole Foods Market, we're in John Lewis Food Halls, in Selfridges, and online, of course, Amazon, chocchick.com. And we sell to a lot of hundreds and hundreds of independent retailers, which is my passion. It's where I love seeing my products the most. And we also sell our products in bulk. So you might find them in the packaging free, because we also sell them without packaging free. And so in addition to the cacao powder, I've got the cacao butter that you've seen before. And then also I do a blend, which is gorgeous. We do blends of cacao with cinnamon, blends of cacao with mandarin. It's for hot chocolate, for smoothies, for baking. I use them in baking. If you see on my website, I've got lots and lots of recipes. Everything is vegan because for me, it has to be the natural cocoa bean, the natural. I didn't want to add anything to the cocoa bean to dilute the essence or the benefit of it. And in addition, over the years, I've become vegan for health reasons. So it kind of fit in. It was always dairy-free and gluten-free because my daughter is lactose intolerant. And so that's we've evolved into more and more vegan brand. And I also have a chocolate range. So I've got my quinoa pops and plantain bites, which I make in Ecuador. So they're made at source. So another part of sustainability is working with the communities and making the products at source. And then we ship them over. We don't fly anything over. I ship them over to the UK. They're packaged in the UK. So I have quinoa pops and plantain bites. They're all vegan and lower in sugar. And the quinoa pops are like dark, healthier Maltesers, and they're 50% less sugar than Maltesers. And the plantain bites are a bit like chocolate raisins, but they're plantain, which is banana, which I adore. I live off when I'm in Latin America. And that is we cook and dry the plantain, and so it's quite chewy actually. So it's like a chocolate raisin, but it's 33% less sugar than chocolate raisins, and most of the sugar is the natural sugar from the plantain. And then we've just launched a new trail mix, which is a mix of the plantains. We have cocoa nibs that are sweetened with yacon, a prebiotic root vegetable. And so we've got a mix of the nibs, the plantain bites, and then dried apples, dried bananas, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds. So I'm living off that as well. So again, it's just part of a happy hormone diet, happy diet, which is how I've been living the last few years. It's interesting, speaking about the long COVID, I actually was ill with COVID last year. I was in hospital and I have had long COVID for 7-8 months, and being vegan, consuming a lot of cacao, and reducing dairy completely has been part of my recovery, and I am so much healthier. I've lost weight. I feel so much better. But the benefits are incredible when it's combined, obviously, with a healthy diet as well, and without as much sugar and dairy. So, and of course, so I can talk for hours, and I know I don't know how much time I've got left. So I thought I'd just leave you with a recipe. And this is what started everything for me. This is the recipe I developed and discovered 14 years ago. And so all it is, it's super, super easy. So it's 100 grams of cacao butter with 6 tablespoons to about 30 grams of cacao powder. And I use maple syrup, vanilla extract, and a little bit of sea salt. And I melt the butter in a little pan over a bowl over a pan of water, a bain-marie. So on a very low heat, melt the cacao butter first. I add cacao powder, the syrup, vanilla, and salt. And I constantly mix it with a metal balloon whisk. I think that's the secret. I didn't put metal balloon whisk here, but I use a metal whisk as it helps to temper the chocolate, and taste it all the time to see if you need to add a bit more sweetener, a little bit vanilla, a little bit more salt, or it's up to you how you make it. Then I put them in little mini baking cases. On our website, you can buy a bundle which comes with the baking cases. So it comes with cacao butter and powder and the little baking cases and a recipe card. And then you can decorate, I put it in the freezer to set for about 20 minutes. But in the baking cases, you can put hazelnuts or mixed nuts, or you can top it with dried fruit nuts. I put dried flowers here, pistachio. The pistachios I soaked in a little bit of rose water beforehand. So you can get really creative and make amazing recipes with the pure ingredients that come from the cocoa bean. So yes, visit chocchick.com and I put a discount code if you put Choc Health. There's 15% off of all our products. And and please spread the word. I'd love to be stocked in a local independent store near you or a retailer near you. So if there are stores in Portsmouth area that you think our products would suit them and you'd like to buy them directly as well, please let me know and I'd love to get in touch with them and have some more sales. We definitely need more sales. So yes, thank you.